For decades, viewers have been relentlessly attacking Star Wars performers and creators with the renewed push against TV shows like The Acolyte, demonstrating the venom with which a particular set of audience members scrutinize everyone's favorite galaxy.
Now I'm just imagining Venom hunched over his desk, typing out comments on Reddit about how he doesn't like the new Star Wars show.
What are you doing?
This
My
show was pretty lame. It was lame. I didn't like it. The writing
hate the Acolyte. You're now my third favorite galaxy.
The thing is,
the real one, and then the one from Star Trek. I guess I don't know.
They always make it about Star Wars when, you know, if you were to drill down, it wouldn't be that. Because you'd present all the shows that don't get attacked, and then they say, yeah, but it has to be either female-led or female-created. And then you're like, so what about...
this, and this.
Well, like, what does it have to be... Why would it have to be about Star Wars at that point? Surely it would apply to anything. Why would it have to be Star Wars?
Well, yeah, because this one's trying to tie it into an idea of historic vitriol in terms of the Star Wars, fan base, right? They said for decades, right? So that going back to even the OT, if they're talking about it like that. But it's like you said, if they're talking about like broad current day trends that they believe that they're observing, then what does like the Star Wars part have to do with it?
And they always have to put it in like the most aggressive way imaginable, like relentlessly attacking Star Wars performers and creators, rather than just being like, no, Jar Jar was cringe, nobody liked him, and Anakin's performance wasn't that good. Like that. Those are two simple
this
aspects.
is a case of the specific words that are being used are obviously evocative. Or provocative. I mean, like, I mean, of course, unfounded criticism is pretty obvious, right? But like, ready to pounce, right? Rather than, if you said prepared to criticize, for instance,
pounce.
Or a particular set of audience members carefully curate everyone's favorite galaxy. You can just switch the words out and completely change the tone of the writing.
Yep. You're right. A lot of this could have been like changed and still gotten their point, but without being so defensive.
Well, no, I mean it's meant to be this way. It's meant to be. It's meant to be strongly worded and harsh. But like the wording locks you into a. This is part of the reason why I do find it fascinating. Like, I don't get the impression that this comes off as persuasive. Because it's like, if you agree with what's being expressed in the article, then I guess you'd probably be like, oh yeah, no, I mean I agree with all of this. But if you don't. Like, you've already got a mismatch in terms of disagreement on what you think is actually happening right now. Because, someone would be like, well, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not ready to pounce on anybody. I'm just saying that I didn't like the show, for instance.
Yeah, the show's bad. Yeah.
And then already it's like, well, you've lost them with the first paragraph. Yep. You've already lost them because
it's something else. Yeah, you go into the gate declaring this is the issue.
This isn't an olive branch whatsoever. This is them.
No.
Yeah, it's just
this is a giant. This is not an olive branch. It's a spear, and they're poking you with it.
The vitriol of these persistent voices has subsequently spread throughout the internet, making it feel impossible to say anything positive about Star Wars without turning every discussion into a heated debate.
You know what? Conversely, it's impossible to say anything negative about Star Wars without a bevy of articles and videos telling
about how we're fucking racist.
Daring to express their negative opinions.
That bold is just style. That's not a hyperlink or anything. That's just bold.
I do like...
well, look.
You have a big rant about Ki-Adi-Mundi's birthday being wrong, and then they're like, racist! And you're like, how are you going to argue this one? Come on. Like... Call me obsessed or nitpicky or whatever, but you can't go that direction this time.
You wouldn't care.
Yes, they can.
Yes, they can.
We can and we will.
You wouldn't care.
Yeah,
I would just like you to kind of stick to, just sort of stick to.
Also,
respecting the accepted canon. That would be kind of.
And hey, look, if we're going to be talking about the idea that balance in the Force is light and dark, then you have to accept the balance of the negative opinions.
Yeah, exactly. It's an important component.
Sith.
I think
you
it should be
accept, look, right, that's balance.
I think it should be acknowledged, by the way, that if the show were amazing, everyone was loving it, 11 out of 10s and stuff, and they still had that retcon for Ki-Adi-Mundi, it probably would have been noted, but it wouldn't be anywhere near as controversial. Like, it feels it it like rolled out into hyper controversy through responses. Just like it got highlighted, then response, all the way up to there are starving children in Africa.
Yeah, all they had to say was "Whoops, we fucked that up. My bad. We really wanted to see him in the show."
It is interesting, right?
That's
lack of recognition of the part that you play in making these sorts of things become a bigger deal than maybe they ought to be.
It's like when you're trying to correct like a coworker or something like that, and like instead of just taking the correction, which could have taken 10 seconds, you're watching them trying to justify a mistake over and over and over again until now you're frustrated when you didn't even really care. You were just trying to give them a tip, and now it's turned into a thing because it's the stuff.
Well, yeah, it'd be like if you said 2 + 2 is 5, and then someone's like, no, it's 4, and you're like, hey,
what the fuck is wrong with you picking on me for my opinion about numbers?
What's your problem?
Oh, here you go again, trying to correct me, of course. There's Springy. Springy knows everything about math.
This toxic negativity, all right? I can't.
I'm fucking. Oh god.
Also,
if it's toxic, then why does it taste so good?
We would be ranked happily as some of the meanest, bobinest disallowers of positivity for Star Wars, right? And they would say we are probably contributing to them making it feel impossible to say anything positive for Star Wars. And then I would obviously do the, that Will Smith presenting meme where he does the thing. I'd be like, with our Andor stream. Like, so how does this fit into the narrative? How do you, because of course they call us grifters in a heartbeat. I'd be like, how does the shill mind comprehend this? Like, what does it do? And I have to imagine that they would probably say something like, you did it to throw people off your scent. That's all you did.
It's purely tactical maneuver.
Yeah. Lies is what it is. The unacceptable abuse that Star Wars prequel-era actors like Ahmed Best received from fans in the late 90s and early 2000s has been well documented. And since then, negative Star Wars voices have only been amplified by the mainstream spread of social media.
So that was bad, abusing actors for doing their role in a story. You have to recognize that isn't an exclusive Star Wars problem. That just seems to be a weird.
Let's go to Game of Thrones,
because we've seen it recently with House of the Dragon, where Kristen Cole's
the group it's exclusive to isn't per genre or IP or gender or age or emotional level. It's humans. They just do this.
It just seems to be, it just seems to, because we've seen it with Kristen Cole's actor. We saw it with what's his name, John Walker in Falcon and Winter Soldier, who also got harassed because people thought that he was the character he played.
Yep.
Like, this is some bizarre thing that seems to manifest with certain people on the internet. It's really, really bad. It's not a Star Wars exclusive problem. It just seems to be a problem that exists in general.
The actor who played Joff. Go ahead.
Yeah, you get enough people watching a show, and it's just going to be like, you're just playing the statistics that one of them's going to be a psycho weirdo, and that's just what happens when you're previewing something to millions and millions of people.
Jack Leeson, the actor who played Joffrey, the prince in Game of Thrones, he got just completely assaulted online to where he pretty much stopped acting for like the last 10-15 years or whatever it's been.
And it's insane.
Cersei, his mother, Skylar from Breaking Bad. The list probably goes on and on and on. It's longer than any of us have been born. This has been going on, longer than any of us have been alive. This has been going on. It's just a part of life.
Really, really, really bad behavior. You can't be, but like to try and like use that as a thing to like bundle in for people like having criticisms of the Acolyte is really, what are you doing? Like
that's
what?
Rip.
Like, do you feel like you're being honest when you do it like that?
They can't. This must feel slimy. Like they can't. It's just
no. This is look through while you're talking. While you guys were going over some of the first paragraph. I just looked at the articles that this, I don't want to say this guy because they're a they, them, so who fucking knows, but there you go. But the articles that this guy's making are like, it's just mega shill content. It's super brand defense, mega shill. It is, the fans are bad, repeating articles. Lee Jung Jae, you have to forgive me, I don't know the pronunciation of that, but 3 days ago, Lee Jung-jae delivers a powerhouse performance in The Acolyte's latest episode. The Boys Season 4 delivers its harshest reality check yet. The Acolyte's most shocking twist changes everything.
Clickbait bullshit.
The Acolyte foreshadows one of the Jedi's darkest moments in Revenge of the Sith.
Those sounds like the headlines of like someone who would write something this stupid. And he already lost me with the authentic self thing.
He doubled up.
Such a self-report, man.
He double dipped on an article, House of the Dragon Season 2 forgot about Aemon's biggest problem. He did that one twice, basically. So,
Leslie Headland's groundbreaking series has been relentlessly review bombed online, causing The Acolyte to possess a huge disparity between its positive critical reception and abysmal audience score on aggregate websites like Rotten Tomatoes. How amusing.
Groundbreaking.
You see, you could never have... Because obviously the implication... With review bomb, it means they're not doing it genuinely. They're just doing it to attack. However, the critical response is positive, and they would never do it disingenuously. They would never have reason to do anything dishonestly. So now we know the answer. It's a good show. There you go. Just wanted to make sure that was settled. Like that's obviously the fucking tone of this. It's like it's good that we figured that out. We've got the answer. Let's move on.
I guess digging a grave for Star Wars is groundbreaking.
Beautiful. Since the majority of these hate-filled criticisms are either overreactions to alleged continuity errors, I love alleged.
Alleged. Like it's just an obvious fuck up. Just.
I think I like the double dipping on how much you can disregard the opinions. The majority of the hate-filled criticism. So it's like it's a majority of the already all-encompassing hate-filled response to the audience. You know what I mean? It's like you double dipping on the idea how much you can disregard anything that's said.
Yeah, there's no valid criticism. Don't even entertain the idea that there's valid criticism. It just is. It just isn't.
That would be nuts.
Anyone who doesn't like the show is just a hateful person and they're toxic, troll, blah, blah, blah.
How are you supposed to get something like that out of an unalleged state? I mean, the show's made. It's out there. Everyone can see it and see the breaks in continuity. Like, what else are you supposed to do to prove it?
Take it to court, obviously.
Keanu Mooney is in this fucking show. He was in the prequels. We saw him. He had lines.
Dude,
he asked about the droid attack on the Wookiees.
Imagine somehow it was a part of a high-profile case that a key piece of information was, in truth, whether or not there was a plot hole in the Acolyte episode, and they had to, like, actually argue it and make sure everyone understands whether or not that's the case. They just have lawyers be like, Keanu Mooney was not born yet, and the other lawyer is like, that's false. It was non-canon. It was a part of something that was decanonized. This is absurd, Your Honor. This we need a mistrial. Like, this is absurd. We can't have this.
Oh shit! I want that scene.
Hell yeah, it would be great. The alleged. It's
Continuity errors.
No, I was just thinking about how it's such an ill-used word. There's so many. Just be honest with the truth, which is you disagree. It's not that they're like what is
not possible.
Well, what does it mean to be like? This is a case where you can just ascertain whether it is or it isn't, like in very just with like a Google search.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously, it would never get to a point where you have to refer to it as alleged. Either you've heard it and you go, "Nah, it's bullshit," or you go, "Oh yeah, I guess." Just say that. Matter. Either overreactions to alleged continuity errors within the Star Wars universe or backlash aimed at attacking the show's long overdue inclusivity, the bad actors spreading them are clearly spinning controversy out of nothing, and this manufactured outrage can be directly traced back to the demographics of the original trilogy.
What?
What?
Wait, what? Wait. The bad actors spreading them are clearly spinning controversy out of nothing. He's got that in bold. It's very important.
I will say, I mean, I would say that Star Wars is long overdue in terms of like getting a diversity of more alien POV characters in the Star Wars world.
Yeah,
I don't think that's what he's referring to.
I don't think that's what
he's saying.
Too much white people. That's pretty much
saying
it.
the white people are the problem.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like we need more stories with like droids as main characters.
Yeah, I want a POV story of an alien. I want anything. That's why I always
Literally a jelly person who's like just a little jelly blob on the floor, but has a little two eyes.
Yeah.
I realized
I want Hanar from Mass Effect to be the main character.
Are we counting Ahsoka? That was what that was, but it doesn't feel like it. She's just orange. I never even think of
okay.
I never think of that as an alien. I just said I want an alien POV. We got one technically.
She's a lady with a weird hat.
But I was going to say as well, but she was also disliked, then really liked, and she's now aiming to go back to being disliked again because of the way they've handled her writing. To me, that's actually the best evidence ever of the actual problem. Nothing to do with the character and universe or who's playing them. It's all to do with how much you can write them in a way that the audience responds in a positive manner, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Always been the case. And I don't know what fucking yarn they would spin about why she was liked, disliked, liked, or vice versa. The reverse. I just think that it's fascinating to watch. And if we get another shit Ahsoka season, I think the Ahsoka stock is going to crash.
No, she's done. Probably. She's got one last chance. And like the fact that she's so boring that I literally just totally forgot she's an alien. Because when I said I need a POV story from an alien, I wasn't even thinking about her. But we did technically get one. But
a terribly written character. Horrible. You know, it's just like ugh.
And I mentioned this last time as well, but I think it's one of the millions of missed opportunities. But the Anakin's stupid episode when she was underwater, that should have been the reveal for something in her species as to why she was able to survive underwater instead of just skipping it. They could have did something. We could have learned something about her. We could have done something, you know? Either she literally drowned, she was there for 12 hours underwater, or they do something and explain, like, at least this is something her species can do to justify it.
I don't know if I want the sudden reveal that she's got 4 lungs or whatever.
I would take that over like literally nothing. And it's just she was
but literally nothing is what Dave Filoni's really good at. He filled it like 90% of Ahsoka with literally nothing. So
yeah.
Hey, when it's literally nothing, no damage is being done.
Exactly. You know, I was thinking about Andor. If season 2 is really good, you could have like a couple of outcomes. One could be a lot of people end up hating it anyway because it's a part of Disney Star Wars. That's definitely possible. But another could be it will amplify how much everyone hates all the shit ones because it'll be like, look. You can do it. It's right there. And it would be a unique thing for everyone to be chill on that one. Season 2 coming out, be like, wait, oh, this is actually kind of fun. And for a moment, a brief moment, you just get everyone sort of celebrating it, sharing memes about how good it is, or something like that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
What would they say to that? What would they say?
Oh, they'd find a way to make it so that...
You know what I mean?
Somehow we were still monsters or whatever. It's always a thing.
I'm just... sick of it, years of it now, when the answer is obvious.
Well, get ready for more of it. The original Star Wars movies were a product of a different time. Given the franchise's current popularity, it's hard to believe there was ever a time when no one on Earth had ever watched one of George Lucas's Star Wars movies. The first film...
Earth be capitalized? It's a planet. Arguably, it's my favorite planet, but... Like you should capitalize.
Maybe
Earth.
it's
you're not referring to dirt.
Earth is a
you're not referring
word.
To like dirt, like moving Earth or an Earth mover. Like
maybe he is.
You're referring to the planet. Fucking capitalize your planet. Show some goddamn respect.
The first film in the original trilogy, originally titled Star Wars, upon its 1977 release, was shown to the public during a decade of classic hits like Steven Spielberg's Jaws in '75 and Rocky in '76. This was a time when Hollywood relied almost exclusively on traditional tropes to tell stories exclusively through a Eurocentric white male lens.
Listen, this is not saying the thing that you think it's saying. This is saying a different thing to what you think you're trying to say here.
Is Jaws a film that is seen through the lens of a white male?
a great white male.
How do you say that about fucking Jaws? What? If they're trying to, I don't know, the balls on these people for the reaches that they do.
Throw fucking alien in there and tell me that's a white male lens, the creature killing everyone, you know?
Sorry, Pot.
That would make as much sense.
Stardust and their viewers just joined. Say hello.
Howdy.
It was like a white message in chat. I've never seen that before. What?
Is it like a new feature?
Oh, was it like a raid? Like a Twitch raid or something like that?
Well, I doubt Twitch can raid YouTube. At least not in like an official capacity.
Like it, right? Oh, Stardust is a streamer.
Oh, you're right. I've never seen that before. Stardust and the viewers just trying to say hello.
I've never seen that before.
I guess they're trying to integrate rating more, which makes sense. They're always 1,000 years behind Twitch on features like that. Well,
interesting.
I say that as if YouTube is worse than Twitch. It ain't, but you know what I mean.
Mark is saying, yeah, she's Dev's friend. Okay, I gotcha. I feel like I've heard that name before. I've never seen that before. That the notification popped up and it was white with white text.
I mean,
so I was like, what is this? And I had to highlight the text to see it. Like, oh,
just in time. We're talking about how Jaws is a white male film.
Yeah,
I guess.
Didn't you know? Couldn't you tell? I guess you got to be able to swim, but I don't know how else you could take that. I suppose it's kind of weird that he would be saying, these amazing, classic, iconic films were made back then. That's because they relied on a traditional tropes of a Eurocentric white male lens. So what do you think about that? Like,
it's like, why are you?
Don't think this is.
Why are you categorizing them that way? Why are you giving them all to the white males? What do you mean? Like, these are just amazing films. You don't need to do that.
Maybe Cameron Barnett is the ghostwriter name for Synthetic Man, and he's trying to sneak this into the article.
Feels a little divisive, you might say.
I don't think about these movies as like a white person movie from the white lens, or a black movie, or an Asian.
You may find this shocking, but Rocky is considered inspirational to almost everyone all over the world, from every place, everywhere. It's crazy.
Rocky, it's a human story. It's not a fucking white male.
Oh, human. Leslie talked about humans. She does human stuff.
Listen, I'm just saying, as an outside observer, after watching that interview, stock in humanity is it's gone down a bit for me. So we're y'all need to step it up.
It was such a bad interview. You have noticeably lost stock in humanity. Like, it's gone down a few ticks.
I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna look at y'all the same way.
Just watch Rocky and Jaws. It might go back up.
Just watch Rocky and Jaws.
Protagonists were almost always played up as ultra-masculine tough guys, while supporting cast typically consisted of domestic female characters or problematic stereotypes. And as films released during this insulated time period, the original Star Wars movies are often construed as possessing a similarly narrow narrative focus.
Sheriff Brody?
He's giving us like a checklist of how to make good movies? That's interesting.
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I think this is going to eventually try to explain why we all hate the new stuff isn't at all to do with the writing. It's just who they cast now. That's why. That's the only reason. Despite taking place in a galaxy... He's not
going to talk about the writing, right?
No, you already said it's alleged, Rags. That's as far as he's going to go with it.
Oh, fair enough. The idea of alleged writing is a funny concept to me. Alleged writing, you mean?
Despite taking place in a galaxy far, far away from the filmmaking conventions of Earth, Star Wars' original trilogy features a mostly white cast. Female characters with largely unrealized potential. Well,
Jesus Christ.
Are they saying that about Leia?
What are they fucking talking about? Like, why is the cast being mainly white? Explain to me why that's a bad thing. They just throw it in as if we just understand that this is inherently bad. I don't even need to elaborate. It's so slimy.
It's gotta be, like, I don't want to know what it's like to look at the world this way, and I'm glad I don't, but what a bizarre way to look at, like, storytelling, to look at it through a racial lens.
Everything through this racial lens, it just skews your...
my favorite movie of last year was Godzilla -1, and it's all a bunch of Asian guys and a big lizard, and I'm thinking, like, man, I never once did it even occur to me that I couldn't connect with anybody, or there needed to be more racial diversity or anything. It just doesn't exist. That part of my brain just isn't there.
Yeah, I felt things, and I've never been Asian or lizard, so like it's got to be proof of something.
Yes.
The first act of that film I actually liked it the best out of everything, including Godzilla and all the destruction and everything, because the story and the characters were working so well. So I mean, yeah, it obviously has nothing to do with the race or anything.
It's always been a very lame topic,
and I think it can be cringe when that happens sometimes. But there's times when it's just the movie earned it, and everyone gave it a genuine clap at the end, and like. I don't mind that at all if it's well earned. And there was a lady behind me like sniffling and like crying throughout it. Really, the emotional beats hit hard. And this isn't a giant lizard movie. Like, no one expected it. No one cares about race when we have those fucking things to appreciate. Like, just fuck off. I'm sick of that.
Still,
a while back,
the unrealized
Mullen
female
and
characters thing is still throwing me off.
Yeah, because we didn't have like a prominent and pivotal and important central character in Princess Leia and everything she does.
If they're not the lead and they're not the hyper focus, if it's not mainly about them, if they're
I
not
guess
the key to everything,
they have to be the lead.
not,
they have to be gay, and she has to kick everyone's ass all of the time. And
if
she has to have a
that,
terrible, shitty personality. I guess that's
a
shitty the
haircut
blueprint that we really need. That's what's making art really good. Mahler and I watched a movie. It was offline a while back called "When Evil Lurks," and it was pretty. I would recommend it. And it's a Portuguese horror movie. And I was thinking, this is cool because I don't think I've ever seen like a Portuguese movie before. So we went into this and we were like, oh hey, this is interesting. This is new. It's cool to see how other people make movies. And it was nice to be like, oh, this is just different. This isn't like downtown LA.
Yeah, there was some conventions
really
that were a little. Everything is at a skew in terms of they decided to do that way. That's cool and that works. And then it's like that wasn't as okay. Yeah, well that's fine. And all your standard shit, like just with writing, pacing, everything that you'd find to be worth a sort of analysis. We were interested in the angle of just it's the same but different in terms of because we liked a lot about it. I'm trying to remain relatively spoiler free here because I think
Argentinian. I'm sorry, someone said Argentinian. I said Portuguese.
Wow.
Apologies. Argentinian.
See,
just goes to show that I don't even see. See,
yeah.
I was so focused on the movie.
That makes your point even more potent. Like you don't. Who gives a shit? Argentinian, Portuguese, whatever. It's a good movie.
That's what I was going to bring up is that what we ended up talking about, of course, were the ideas, the characters, how everything unfolded, and what it meant for a world that they were creating in this. We weren't going like, but there was no white people in it though. Like I don't know, man. Like or however many gay people or however many lizard people there were, because you didn't need any lizard people to get into this one. Obviously, that was necessary in Godzilla, not necessarily necessary in Star Wars. But you know what? Wouldn't mind some more lizard people in Star Wars as well.
There you go.
It's always strange to see this angle of attack, but I mean, it's not going to go away anytime soon. Apparently, they keep trying.
They sure do. I mean, one of these days, if they call us racist hard enough, it'll, I don't know, like work or something. I don't know. Because
they said there's no LGBT plus storylines depicted on screen in Star Wars. Have they done? What is an LGBT plus storyline? Is it one that simply has someone who is LGBT, or that the storyline itself has to be related to that?
Good question.
Well, I think it depends on who you ask.
Is it the character or is it the actor too?
Well, because I wouldn't say that a straight storyline.
Yeah, I would never have described.
I would never.
Yeah, you fucking. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a story that specifically relates to someone and their gayness or whatever one of those things are, then yeah, sure. If that's like an actual important central key element of the story, but I would not consider Arcane an LGBTQ plus storyline. No. I'd just be like, yeah, it's some of the characters are gay.
I mean, as we just said, I think it's as silly as describing something as a straight storyline. That's not a thing. We never.
Yeah, I don't do that. I don't see. I just don't. I'm not like, all right, let's categorize everyone in this story. It's like that's just not how my brain works.
Like, is it a part of the story? That's something you can discuss. But describing it as a gay story, I just don't understand that. Like when she said this is the gayest Star Wars ever, what does that mean? What does that mean at all? Is it the most gay people in it?
Maybe they clear it up because you got while powerful female leaders like Mon Mothma and Carrie Fisher's iconic Princess Leia are outspoken forces for good in the trilogy, the latter's relationship with the Force and her father is glossed over in favor of her brother. Just so everyone knows that her brother, that's Luke Skywalker, the main character.
Luke Skywalker is the
primary character. You could say.
Oh my god!
And Leia's infamous bikini scene at Jabba's palace in Star Wars: Return of the Jedi feels like fodder for a generation of male fantasies. Pretty
First
sure.
Off, famous bikini scene.
Or what about the females that liked it?
Well, so I was going to say, how do you deal with women who either want to star in scenes like that or believe that it's empowering for women to have scenes like that? How do you
because
deal with that?
ignore it.
That would be the
you
L.
ignore it, so you can't have your narrative.
This is the aforementioned L in LGBTQ+. And
Nice.
they're into that sort of thing.
Oh, I thought you meant
also,
it's just an L that they wouldn't want those scenes.
Jedi's taking L's.
First
man.
off, if you don't want those scenes, that is a big L, and you should put a L on your forehead.
Didn't she request that because she had been dressed up throughout like the entire thing? She wanted to actually be able to show some shape. Like, wasn't that her request?
I've not seen the source for that, but I've heard people say it. So
I thought it was really weird when she specifically requested that she wanted to lay on Jabba all the time, and she wanted to get his
lightsaber.
Let's move on. Yeah, his lightsaber. Yeah.
For me, all you need to do is look at the context of the scene. This big fucking gangster alien has her. He's doing whatever he wants with her. Like even within the scene, it's not really her choice. Like
they cut the hut cream scene, so at least
don't.
Oh Christ! And she kills him. She kills him. How is that not an empowering scene when she fucking murks him with her bare hands and strangles his fat neck, chokes the shit out of him.
She uses the object of her enslavement, her chain.
Yeah,
she uses that
thematically on
to
point.
Choke him. She was like, "I'm going to kill you, and you're going to think about it while it happens."
It's arguably Leia's best scene when you think about it.
And you can tell when he's strangling, he's like, I actually like this. This is awesome.
Yeah, he had a giant boner during that.
You can't stop me from doing one last scream. It's Princess Leia. She kills him, and then she's like, "All right, I gotta go open the back door for Max Rebo because they're gonna make a show when he's alive in it." So
yeah, he gets out of there. It
was
was so
save
cool.
Bib Fortuna.
If as the barge was crashing, you see Max with a parachute. Just like, I made it.
Max Rebo and Bib Fortuna's holding on to him.
Yeah,
like really tight, and they float down to the sand. You'll see us again. It's like Jesse and James from Team Rock.
Yeah, man, blasted off again.
Missed opportunity.
That would have made more sense because he was alive in Boba Fett. They just skipped that.
Yet,
Tim and Max blasting off again.
The original trilogy's premise still feels magical to watch and provided formative memories for many of Star Wars' older fans. Also the younger ones. Those films hold the fuck up. Creating such an impact on viewers' minds that many still consider the first three movies the definitive guide to the Star Wars experience. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
They're the foundation from which everything on Star Wars was built. It's not a surprise that people would say you could go back and do it. Never mind. Unfortunately, this mindset's reliance on the original trilogy's outdated aesthetic severely limits the understanding of what a Star Wars story can be. Okay.
Outdated aesthetics.
It could be gayer.
Meaning white people that are gay. Like
either they have to commit to one or two things. One, they have expanded well beyond it, and that's why everyone hates it. And it's like, so that was a failed experiment then. Or two, they haven't yet expanded, and that we hate all this stuff.
Just need to do it harder.
Because maybe you should expand elsewhere. Then are they saying that like Star Wars fans are just so locked in to what Star Wars is? They won't allow it to expand. Even though, why are we pretending as though fans just don't like any of the Star Wars content that's come out post-OT? That's not true. There's shit tons. In the form of...
don't mention that at all.
Going strictly with even just our perspective here, with still plenty of things we've liked in between and alongside a bunch of stuff. But then if you go to the expanded sort of general audiences, Mando Season 1 was pretty well received. To the point where they made another 2 seasons. That didn't turn out well, though, did it? In the aftermath of the original trilogy's popularity, Star Wars broadened its appeal to accommodate an entirely new generation of fans to the franchise. The prequel's Queen Padme Amidala made up for the original movie's oversight by showcasing a powerful fictional queen whose bravery and political wisdom competed with the likes of Count Dooku and then Chancellor Palpatine. I like the then Chancellor Palpatine.
What oversight? Like, I'm sorry, Leia was a better character than fucking Padme. What oversight are we talking about?
I certainly think so, and I think that we watched her in action. She was organizing battles. Like, I don't even know why they're saying this.
We just talked about how she fucking murdered Jabba with her bare hand, strangled him with her fucking chain. Like, how is that not? How can you call that an oversight? I'm so done with this fucking article already.
And the introduction of Ahsoka in 2007 Star Wars The Clone Wars gave younger viewers a powerful heroine to grow up with. Increased efforts at telling diverse Star Wars stories came when Disney launched Disney purchased, Lucasfilm in 2012. Though many of the Mouse House's Star Wars releases have been marred by online hate.
It's interesting that they say that diverse Star Wars stories are intrinsically linked to the sexuality of the character and not the nature of what the story actually is.
What they care about.
Well, I don't think if we're supposed to believe this person's being 100% honest, they wouldn't believe someone like you saying that. They'd be like, yeah, you think the writing is the problem, huh? Uh-huh. Yeah. Sure. Though, it would be cool if there were a wizard that could zap into their head the truth, which is that we're telling the truth, and how they would deal with that.
How would they come to terms with the reality?
If they knew
all those people that I called racist all these years,
I suppose
they were actually being honest with me when they said that they just hated the fucking writing and it was shit.
If they were willing to entertain with a hypothetical, like, how would you respond to the notion that you knew it to be true, that we were telling the truth, that we really just want better writing and it has nothing to do with anything you think here? I don't know what they would say. They'd probably be like, yeah, but it's not true. Like, okay. Yeah,
that's why I like to ask those type of people, like, is that the only possibility? Is there another possible explanation at all? Can we even consider it? Just to see what they say. Yeah. Like, if they're locked into it, if they're even, like, admit maybe they could be wrong. Just as, like, a baseline, you know? It reveals a lot from the beginning.
While Disney did make some decisions that caused legitimate controversy within the Star Wars fandom, such as removing the beloved Legends continuity from canon, many alleged controversies of this time period unfolded because problematic Star Wars viewers chose outrage over trying to understand change. What? Chose outrage. The narrative quality
they woke up and chose violence.
Yeah, that's how it feels. Like, the narrative quality
you just gotta wake up and choose hate crimes, you know? That's just
look at this line.
Those days.
The narrative quality of Disney Star Wars trilogy sequel trilogy aside, the movie's progressive decision. It's like, what do you mean putting that aside? That's like the whole.
That might be the central point. That's honestly.
Put that to one side.
The most potent thing they've said in this entire thing. How do you put the narrative aside? You fucking moron. And it's just.
Ignoring the story of this story, you have to focus on other elements. The movie's progressive decision to hire Daisy Ridley as Rey and John Boyega as Finn marked important firsts for the franchise's leads. Yet,
don't worry about the story, but we have a woman and a black guy. That's what they just said.
Well, I'm waiting for them to say that.
I guess technically as leads, it's a first. I guess.
Well, it didn't.
But all people can talk about is how much they wasted Finn and how much of a not character Rey is.
Exactly. And which one are they bringing back? It's the one nobody wants to see anymore of.
No one talks about, Rey's a woman and Finn's black. No one gives a shit about that. No one talks about that. No one cares.
Yet these casting decisions also resulted in constant online harassment for both actors in the aftermath of their performances. Wait a minute.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. What? Everyone wanted Finn to be a character. People are still pissed off.
Let's just rewrite history that they just rewrote back to what it was. When TFA came out, people were over the moon. People were going crazy. People were celebrating. They were
really
John Boyega and Daisy Ridley would have been showered with, praise and excitement. And pretty sure Daisy Ridley's on record as saying that's what happened, and then it was different with TLJ. It's like, yeah, it was.
Yes.
Well, that's because she was less woman.
No, yeah, that was clearly it.
Or became more woman.
Well, I should have probably finished the sentence here. It says, with many detractors trying to drag Star Wars back to a less inclusive past. That's
my God.
That's the story they're going with.
Not like we have all of these problems with the story that you could just at this point it's not even worth pretending that they don't get it. We've not just us, obviously, but channels the world over have been very explicit time and time again about what the problems are, down to very, very nitty-gritty specifics. These people don't want to listen to that. They don't care about us actually having problems. They elect to ignore them and to paint us with a different brush. This is a malicious outlook on our position. These people want to hate us. These are bad faith actors, and they're not good people.
Preach. It's hurting me that we're talking about Finn, arguably one of the most wasted characters of all time. Like, I don't even think that's like too much of a statement to say. The potential that he had, he's up there. It's like of all time, really. It's insane. Everyone wanted to see the Stormtroopers arc change. Like, it's interesting, and he had an actor with like a good,
well, he got reduced down to Rey. That was his thing.
Rey! And if anyone's ever seen it, there's a clip online of John Boyega watching the trailer for TFA with his friend, and he freaks out and he jumps. It's such a fun, like, bro moment. Everyone's had one of those moments before, and that's a dude who could not wait to see himself be a Jedi. And I've said it before, Kylo versus Finn is the best fight in Disney Star Wars in terms of actually having something I cared about. And they did nothing with it. The moment Rey force grabbed that lightsaber, the movie was over. The whole trilogy was over. Finn's character was ruined in that moment, and it was all downhill from there. Well, they didn't even acknowledge the lightsaber slash that he got from Kylo. Ryan just wrote it out in the next movie. He just woke up and bumped his head on the fucking thing. I was so pissed about that because I wanted to know what was going to happen to him.
Little Goofster, little Gaffster. That's what he was in the trilogy. Oh, Finn the clown. That's what he was.
Absolute bullshit.
Flash forward to The Last Jedi's release in 2017, and this online hatred reached a fever pitch. Kelly Marie Tran's heartwarming performance as Rose Tico drew the ire of a racist internet horde, causing Tran to quit Instagram, which is still to this day yet to be proven. That story.
Yes, we don't know the reason. No reason was ever actually given.
In order to look out for her mental health, Disney, admittedly, did not handle the backlash well. Not only did the final film in the sequel trilogy, 2019's The Rise of Skywalker, greatly reduce Rose's screen time, true, but the brief lesbian kiss featured in the background at the very end of the movie felt disappointing for audience members who waited so long for sincere queer storylines. In this instance, it felt like the most vocal opponents of the sequel's central performances had won. Bro, everyone hated that movie.
First off, everyone hated that movie. And a lot of people took that as a pretty clear,
by their logic,
opportunity to.
Should we not then have been like, "Oh, thank you, Disney. You've removed many of the things we didn't like. We like this movie." It's like, no. I remember people saying that it's people like us' fault that we got Rise of Skywalker.
People who shit on TLJ. It was their fault that the Rise of Skywalker happened. Never mind that nobody liked it.
We never asked for what that is. We wanted good writing.
I mean, it's a really stupid idea of, you offered criticisms for this film that I like, and then in response they made a film that nobody likes. See, you got what you deserved. Yeah. As if there's one and only way to respond to the criticism that was levied at The Last Jedi. The one being just, obliterate. Oh, what's up?
Rise of Skywalker didn't fail just on a writing level either. I mean, it was a badly made film. It was butchered in editing, and the sound design was obnoxious.
It was rushed. And, there's so much behind the scenes of just they didn't know what the fuck was happening. They just had to finish it.
Frankenstein film, just stitched together.
Thankfully, the most recent installments in the Star Wars universe have built upon the franchise's contemporary legacy by including more representative storylines in an age of digital hate. The lesbian relationship between Val Sartha and Cinta Kaz in Andor marks an important step forward for LGBT plus inclusion in Star Wars. So why wasn't Andor hated then? Curious. Curious.
How can he score away Andor?
It's weird.
It's an anomaly. It's the elephant in the room.
It's an anomaly.
There's a lot of elephants in the room. Actually, it's a very crowded room. It's a lot of someone needs to do something.
But that's
this
the one
is not appropriate.
That's the one that's just the clearest counter. Like, they should be aware of that counter when they're like, how could you just skip over Andor's existence when you're trying to just beat us down with this shitty point?
To be crystal clear,
Andor's a big ensemble cast. Yeah.
It wasn't hated, but it was maligned as boring. That is true, but you understand the difference, right?
Anyone it was boring.
Yeah, this is not the same as Last Jedi being flamed to pieces because, as they think, it's about inclusive relationships being told. They've made a point in this article about how there are no LGBT plus storylines, and they're celebrating Andor as having one of it. So that means that Andor should have been flamed to pieces as well, but it wasn't. It was said to be boring, but what's that got as a connection?
It was met with a bit more. It was met with more apathy than it deserved. But I mean, we know why that happened. It was because it followed Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it was about a more obscure character.
And it was way better.
It was way better. Yeah,
so much better,
way better.
It was slow paced, but I was never bored. But I can understand people being bored watching it if this is not something they're going to have like the patience to watch play out. But I was like, oh my God, this is Star Wars for adults. I'm so down for this. The Empire isn't a piece of shit. There's some good performances here. Like guns are actually ranged weapons. They're not fucking being stupid. Like, if you're gonna disarm someone, you have to use your brain. It's just it's just ignoring all that and saying, "Oh, but it was boring." Yeah, good for you. What if I found it entertaining? Then you have nothing now. Like, you have to actually make a point. And I haven't seen anyone tell me why Andor is badly written, or all I've heard is it's boring or it's not Star Wars, and those are both like meaningless to me. What are you gonna do with that?
As does the relationship between Osha and May's mothers in The Acolyte. Likewise, Kelly Marie Tran's 2018 article in the New York Times demonstrates that performers can reclaim their stories by publicly disavowing those who only have the courage to tear others down in private, providing an inspiring example of how actors can stand up to Star Wars' most toxic audience members. Demonstrate performers can reclaim their stories by publicly disavowing those who only have the courage to tear others down in private. What does that mean?
Is she saying... Oh,
when he says private, does he mean like anonymously or something? And that she was reclaiming the character being liked by doing an article saying that...
she disavows those trolls, basically, is what I'm getting from
and this was 2018. We're talking 6 years ago. I don't know what her opinion is now.
Who knows?
Yeah. So, yeah, and as James just said, I'm pretty sure she blames social media, not angry Star Wars fans or something, you know? Or toxic haters of the TLJ.
And it strikes me as odd that if that was really the case, that she wouldn't just outright say that. You know, especially in that environment with Disney and the message that Disney wants to send and, you know, defend the brand by miscategorizing people and take shots at the fans whenever possible. Surely, you'd think that if that was the issue, it would just be safely said, but I don't know. Nobody knows.
The bigoted campaigns against Obi-Wan Kenobi's Moses Ingram and the Acolyte prove Star Wars online hate isn't going anywhere anytime soon, or away anytime soon.
I hate bad shows.
Well, I was going to say, this is applicable to everything that was shit. This isn't... They pretend like Star Wars is the only thing that's coming out that gets criticism. Like, there's shit tons of things coming out that people love, hate, and are neutral on constantly. It's called media. It's everywhere. Therefore, it's up to Star Wars creatives to boldly navigate the turbulent waters of the beloved franchise's fandom. In a recent interview with the New York Times, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy herself acknowledged that women in Star Wars are often subject to audience attacks because of the franchise's vocal male fan base. Oh, boy.
The shitty one.
They just don't like women because...
Hear that? You know, any women in chat? You don't exist. you don't get to be here.
You love him. All the ladies, they love these great female characters. Who are really showing them.
You got to tell me why Reva was good. You got to stop just calling me racist and sexist for not liking her. She's one of the stupidest characters I've ever seen in my life.
So how do they explain men hating male characters who are shit? How does that work?
Oh my god.
Because most of the poorly written characters I can think of are men.
Yeah, no, there's more shit men than shit women, somehow. I guess.
Because I don't know how you score that away.
If the vast majority of Star Wars characters in the Disney era are shittily written, and typically speaking, I could be wrong on this, but I think there's more men than women, then we have more criticism for the male characters than we do for the women in like a core
on Earth
sheer amount. No, in Star Wars, Disney Star Wars specifically.
Well, yeah, because Mando's a pretty bad TV show. Book of Boba Fett's a pretty bad TV show. Obi-Wan Kenobi is probably the one that I think we agree is the worst.
And these are all male-led. So, yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Run. Where was I? Acknowledged female audience, as well as espousing her belief that storytelling needs to be representative of all people. This sentiment echo, as if you've covered it even close to all the people of Earth, in like an interesting cultural way.
Yeah, or just in the sense of like, whoa, speaking to a lot of universal experiences of people, and then exploring those in a variety of different formats and different genres and different structures for narratives. Why is that not part of... Why is that not the most important part of any kind of conversation like this?
This sentiment echoes...
Well, I mean, look, it's the title of this section of the of the article. The future of Star Wars should be focused on representation and inclusivity. Not deep, compelling characters, interesting writing, cool plots,
good premises,
expansions of established lore. None of that.
Yeah, imagine
is
it said we're going to
representation
focus on
included.
meaningful stories that should inspire and expand the notion of the human experience that we can all understand and grow from. Also, something really, really core.
Exploring the differences between the Jedi and the Sith, like we've been begging for years for, really understanding.
They would say
their
they have done
philosophy.
that. They'd be like, "Yeah, the Acolyte did it. There you go." You're like, oh, okay.
Oh, if that's oh my God, you might be right, and that pains me.
This sentiment echoes the similar views of both Headland and director Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, who is set to helm Star Wars' upcoming solo Rey film. In an interview with the... Still can't believe that's happening.
Good luck. Hope it's written
Chinoy
well.
expressed her appreciation for the franchise's passionate fan base, but she also acknowledged it's best for her to drown out those voices in order to tell her stories. That's always a good sign.
Always an optimistic harbinger of things to come.
Yeah. This delicate balance between creating Star Wars content and maneuvering around its most toxic elements highlights one of the most difficult struggles facing the franchise today. The most vocal viewers...
bizarre bold... Look, it's like half of that is bold and the other is the link.
Underlined? Oh, yeah, okay.
It all seems
What's the link?
I think
this is the
it's about
article version of putting text up on screen in a video essay.
I know,
I would
it's weird.
say it's about as difficult as it is to make a good film. Which I mean, it isn't easy making a good movie, but I mean that is the solution here.
Mm.
You know,
we've got too many examples of people having a lot of fun with even Disney created Star Wars content that is considered well executed. So obviously we could try that, right? We could try it. Let's give it a shot, see what happens. Make something well written, focused on characters, humanity. I mean, she used the word human in that interview at some point. She knows about it, Leslie, so might be able to wedge in something there and just see how it goes. The most vocal viewers of the franchise wield the power of the internet. I can't not think of Boogie. That's like his whole last catchphrase, man. In order to push a bigoted agenda that originates from the prejudices of an earlier time, while mainstream Star Wars content has grown to produce meaningful narratives while being bogged down by hate. In the background.
Like, these shows have been so shallow. They've been so shallow. What are you supposed to meaningfully take away from something like The Acolyte that's going to be applicable in terms of navigating day-to-day life compared to some of the more like fundamental, essential sort of themes that you'd be getting in the original trilogy, for instance? Like, when you're watching Book of Boba Fett, what are you going to be walking away from? Like, you know what? This is making me think about this aspect of my life. And like
excuses can be made for slavery.
The value of water in Boba Fett. That's gonna be the one. And even with this,
like, make sure that you get your 2 liters of water every day.
Yeah.
I just find it like to say like, oh well, they're meaningful stories. Yes, that explains why everybody forgets about them 2 weeks after they're done, and people don't reference them. Meanwhile, people reference lines from the original trilogy constantly, like all the time. They're just enduring parts of all right. Culture.
If what you're saying is true, then why would people have collectively celebrated this tragic moment from the very meaningful and impactful show Obi-Wan Kenobi together? Why people wouldn't remember this if what you said was true?
That's true. Yeah, 2 years since we lost that character. Yeah, I like how the way that it works is because there's a disproportionate number of comments compared to the likes. People did not agree with this.
It's like who?
Well, so
agree with this one.
Remember when this retarded loser just like
didn't
killed
throw her
herself?
Fucking grenade. Like, why wouldn't she just throw
a grenade the whole
It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
Why do they want to make women look stupid? Why? What's the end goal here with Disney?
Yeah, John, this was a character who showed up in Obi-Wan Kenobi for a few episodes.
Oh, okay,
he gave Kenobi a pep talk, basically, like, all the things he should have been able to figure out himself.
That's how we knew she was going to die.
And she fucking just had to carry him and tell him it's going to be all right because he's a bitch. And then she had a big sacrificial like death at the end because that's what they have to do. They have to make them like have this big, incredible moment. And she refused to throw a grenade against a crowd of stormtroopers. She's a moron.
Remember Wade?
Wade, he died because Reva threw a floopy thing at him. Yeah.
Wait. Where's Wade? Where's Wade?
Oh my God.
Starting the episode out with that. Like, what the fuck?
It was so fucking funny.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Kenobi is definitely the most insulting. It's like TLJ Part 2, a TLJ for prequel fans almost. But do you think it's worse than like Boba Fett and Acolyte, just writing wise?
I think the problem is that the Acolyte can never approach Obi-Wan Kenobi in terms of pissing me off, because the Acolyte is in like a realm that I don't care about. I don't care about these characters. I don't care about the era it's set in. Whereas Obi-Wan Kenobi is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. So, seeing him get dragged through is not
the shitty writing
funny.
Blender.
Yeah. And they got back Ewan McGregor, and you just hate to see that talent. You hate to see that talent wasted.
As Otto Hightower would put it, these are symbols of legitimacy, and having them is frustrating because it's like, we got the canon.
Why you gotta put it like that, Molly? I hurt my stomach.
Terminator Genesis. Genesis, I can treat as like a goober clown movie that doesn't exist. Dark Fate has
Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton.
Yeah,
you're so right, man. Like it's I couldn't believe they got Han, Luke, and Leia back for TL. I believe they actually had the real cast members, so it made it so much. I'll never forget how hyped I was for TLJ.
And we can never have.
There's no way this is. Yeah, this is no way this is not going to be one of my favorite movies ever. I can't wait. Click, press play. Oh
never. We're never going to get the real sequel trilogy, unfortunately.
While mainstream Star Wars content has grown to produce meaningful narratives while being bogged down by the hate in the background, opinions about Star Wars has grown so loud because both sides are vying for rhetorical victory. But at the end of the day, these controversies are unnecessary. True fans understand that the Star Wars universe is a sci-fi wonderland where anything can happen and anything belongs. And the future looks bright for those who have already opened up their minds to the compassion that all audience members should have learned a long time ago.
I just think that the writing sucks. Like, that's it. I just think
it's such a funny thing, like spending the whole time being this divisive and then ending on sunshine and rainbows for everyone.
Can you imagine, and instead of this being an article, this was you listening to him face to face. You'd just be deadpan staring at him like, dude, it's just the writing. It's just the writing, bro.
Hello, you just listened to a segment of the podcast Every Frame a Pause, or EFAP. Hosted by YouTubers Mauler, Rags, and Fringy, and joined by a cycling variety of guests across the internet, they critically analyze media with exhaustive detail while pausing at every single frame. Subscribe to the EFAP channel and catch new episodes on Saturdays, as well as catch their smaller videos reacting to the latest and not-so-greatest movies and TV shows throughout the week. You can also subscribe here to EFAP Highlights for the latest shorts, clips, and supercuts, also uploaded throughout the week. Links to all the relevant channels can be found in the description section below, as well as links to their communities on Reddit and Discord. Thanks for watching.